I think that can be done at the end. I want to make the best use of the next 20 minutes showcasing what is the best way. I think you're all facing the questions that how can I drive more direct bookings to my websites? Obviously, some of them are working for the OTAs. There's a balance of how much bookings or how many room nights you're getting from OTA now, and how you actually want to make a balance between how much you're actually getting or how many room nights you're getting from your own booking engine versus from third-party channels. So previously, I work on the media agency side. I'm not a hotelier, but I have a lot of experience working with various hotel groups, Shangri-La, Peninsula, Swire Hotels, a bunch of other luxury 3-4 stars hotels and airlines. So if you have any questions about your campaigns not running, just raise your hands. I can answer your questions anytime. So before I start, how many of you are actually currently running some sort of SEM campaigns to drive room reservations for your hotels? Okay. How many of them are not happy with the performance right now, or extremely happy but just don't know where to put more money? It seems that Plateau is only getting like 4 or 5% of your total room bookings. You're not happy with it. You put in money, the more you put in, it still stays at 4 or 5%, and you don't know where to go. How many of you are experiencing that? No one, so it's awesome. So what about in terms of how many of you are running other types of campaigns, like trying out using social media channels like Facebook, Twitter, Foursquares, to drive either for F&B bookings or the room reservations? Good. And last but not the least, how many of you have tried to use or run various type of remarketing campaign, either via websites or DSP or on Facebook, but have not seen what you want to see in terms of performance? Good. So I have answers for all of you. So let's take a look. I think the questions your boss or yourself is asking yourself every day, you expand your investment in your website, obviously. You build a beautiful website, mobile friendly, everything. You get your booking engine all sorted out. You start spending money running all these activities, search, remarketing, but you are not still driving the bookings you want. So what I'm trying to get is, at the end of this 20 minutes or so, this will no longer be a problem. So you will no longer be questioned why you're not getting the direct bookings that you deserve, of the money that you got invested and the time that you got put in. So obviously the key thing, I think, for all the hoteliers right now is reduce reliance on third-party channels and increase the ROI. So it could be different measurements, ROI, cost for room booking, etc., etc. So let's take a look to see how we can solve it. There are 5 key items I'm going to quickly go over with you. And these are the points that I'm not going to go saying why we need to run search, why we need to run marketing. I'm going to give you actual examples of all the hotels, like 15, 20 clients I've run in the past 8 years, from various tiers, what works and what doesn't work. So you can take it home, go back, talk to your agency, and then ask, why am I running these ad copies? It's not going to work. So let's take a look. So the first thing, it may be too small here, but I'm going to walk through it. The common mistakes in running search. Everyone thinks running search is very easy. Buying keywords, writing the ad copies, putting in Google is cheap. You can stop and start at any time. You just adjust a bit, right? How many of you actually is feeling search is actually very easy and simple to do? No one. So how many of you think it's actually very complex, but they just don't know how to do? Good. So a couple of things, right? Most of the time when I see the clients, when they first embark on running search to drive direct bookings on the websites, is they try to do too much with too little money. So Google will come and talk to you. I know Google may not be here, but Google today, they will be coming and say, hey, I want you, or your account manager from Google will say, or Yahoo will say that, let's buy all the keywords. Remember the importance of the consumer journey. People actually search 10 searches. You need to buy the most generic keywords, maybe Singapore hotel, luxury hotel in Singapore, etc., etc. all the way to your branded keywords. So your branded keywords could be your hotel name. You know, it could be Fairmont Singapore. It could be specific hotel name, right? But you start with a budget, so you're scratching your head. I only have $10,000. I know my customers is not just coming from Singapore. My customers is coming from all over the world. And obviously, I don't have money to cover all around the world for everyone searching on Google or Baidu with just $10,000, right? The first mistake I see is people will ask agency run, target all the countries. The money get burnt immediately. So most likely you call your agency, I don't see my ad free in the afternoon, what's going on? Agency will say, you finish your daily budget, so you need to add more money. But then you throw back the questions, I'm not seeing any booking. Why do I want to put more money? So the first thing you need to look at is to look at your back end from your booking data, which country is actually driving the most online direct booking. There are some countries I can tell, doesn't matter how much money you spend, you're just not going to get as good an ROI compared to other countries. China, for example, you can put all the money you want in Baidu. The ROI itself is just not going to be as good as if you put money in other Western countries or some other Southeast Asian countries. But each hotel is unique, different. You need to look at your current website booking engine data to identify which markets are the ones you need to focus on. Not the whole customer profiles coming in to your hotel, because you have people coming in from MICE and then booking through agents and stuff like that. You need to specifically find out the people, the low-hanging fruits are the people that are already booking, the countries where the people from already have the appetite to book directly and get the deal. So that's number one. So after that, you figure out the countries. You need to figure out which search engines I need to use. Most of the time, people will say, hey, let's just buy some Google, buy some Yahoo, buy some Bing in China, let's just buy some Baidu in Japan, maybe Yahoo Japan, in Korea, Naver, Dom, and everything. At the end of the day, same story. $10,000 you have, you're running 100 countries. 3 engines, 4 engines, or if you want to cover in Russia, running Yandex, each country, you probably only have $2,000 or actually $20 left. And then divide by 30 days, it means that you're running only $1 per day. Obviously, you're not going to see anything unless you have the super powerful ad messaging that have 100% conversion rate, which will never happen. So after you identify the countries, you need to figure out which search engine actually makes sense. In terms of the budget considerations, you need to start with the end of the funnel first. Buy your brand terms. That's actually number one thing. The people have gone to TripAdvisors, have gone to OTAs, all the review websites, looking at, comparing different properties or different hotels in the countries. Start with your brand terms, because you are going to have the lowest cost per click for your brand terms compared with OTAs, and there are other measures you can prevent OTAs from buying your brand terms. So you start with that, and then you start with some of the long-tail generic keywords. For example, free Wi-Fi hotel Singapore, free Wi-Fi luxury hotel. Those keywords will obviously have a small search volume, but the people looking for that specific criteria, you pretty much nail it, you get it. And then that's actually before you move on to very, very generic keywords. And with me working honestly with all the hotel clients, some hotel clients I work with, they have 2 million Hong Kong dollars or 2 million US dollars actually after spending per month. They still cannot compete with the OTAs. And when I look at the profile, I also work with OTA clients before. The keywords that are driving conversion is distinctly different. OTAs, even though they're buying a lot of branded keywords, but in terms of driving conversions, they're actually a lot more powerful in actually using generic keywords. So that's why you see they're bidding very aggressive on those generic keywords. And it's a misconception that when your big boss or someone comes to you that I want to appear number one in luxury hotel or the best hotel or boutique hotel, whatever, that's just not going to happen if you have a limited budget. There are different ways to protect your brand terms. Every single search engine has some sort of measurements that you can actually protect your brand terms. So Google, yes, OTA can still bid for your branded keywords, but they cannot use specifically your trademarked hotel name in the ad copies. So you will be very, very distinct in saying that you're the official website. Book direct, you can have the best rate guarantee, etc., etc. Google has that, Bing has that, or Yahoo Bing has that. And for Baidu, you can talk to your reps. That can also be done, and so does for Naver. So it's not something that completely cannot be done. They can still buy your keywords, but they can never say that, book Fairmont Singapore and all the luxury hotel in Singapore compared to price. Then you can be the one actually specifically saying that official website of blah, blah, blah hotel, get the best way and book here. Okay? That actually will allow you to dominate the above the fold when you search for brand terms. Your organic result is already ranking #1, and then your paid result is also ranking #1. A lot of things you can't always do market research studies to look at what people are searching. But in Google and Baidu or the Bing backend, you can actually download the search query report. It's very interesting. You can see the trends of what people are searching for the keywords related to your properties, or what they are actually looking for when they search for hotels in your area. And it's free of charge, so you can just download it, and through that you can add in a lot of negative keywords. So I'll show you some very interesting example afterwards without proper optimizations, how terribly it can possibly go wrong. Ad copies, there's actually a lot of ad extension, which I will show you afterwards, that you can actually do with no additional cost. This is all free stuff. Agency probably doesn't want to do it because it takes them a hell lot of time, but they're not going to increase the spending. I can show you exactly what happens or what kind of ad extensions you can do. There's also something in Google and Baidu and Yahoo also called site links. They actually allow you, so a lot of you probably have read research, right? Saying that nowadays for travelers, they actually like to watch videos. You produce a lot of videos, a lot of images before they decide whether to stay at your hotel or not. So the Google site links will actually allow you to have additional links connect to your third-party official social media platforms, and they will only charge you when people click on it. So you can basically showcase all the major channels, official channels that you have, and you give opportunities for the person or for the potential customers to look at images, your official images, as well as your videos. Ad copies, this is something that everyone scratched their head. I cannot emphasize enough, don't put your hotel price in ad copies. I've tried it for 3-star, 4-star, 5-star, 6-star hotel. It never worked. So you can say that, you can think that, okay, I'm the cheapest one out there, I'm the most affordable one, 5-star luxury hotel as well as Singapore, $150 or something. It's not going to work. Because most of the people searches, they have no idea what is the reference point of your hotel of the same grade. Instead, you should highlight some of the key features. For example, location. Location is something very, very crucial, and you have read enough reports from Cornell and other research studies about location's importance. Second, highlight the free Wi-Fi. If you have the free Wi-Fi services, highlight that part. Sometimes, you may have free shuttle services to destination. Don't highlight the free shuttle services. It gives the impressions where people don't know your area that you're very far from where they want to go. I know it's a really good thing that you highlight that you have free shuttles to airports, convention center. Don't do that. It's just going to make people feel that it's very far away, especially for people that have not been to your location before. The other things nowadays in Singapore and a lot of markets, room size. Because everyone feels that the rooms is tiny, room size. Mention about your room size. And some of the things you probably as a hotelier, when I talk to all my clients, right, they always say that I could not believe that someone would be interested in it. Amenities, very simple things. If you have a walk-in rain shower, marble bubble bathrooms, those are the things that in a million years you never think that that's actually the most attractive thing. Because you'll be working with your PR team crafting those like iconic building, cheap, contemporary, all those like terms that you think is going to work. Before booking, those are not the terms. They want to know you may have high fractals, sheets, down bedding, etc. Those are the ones that actually is going to work. As I mentioned before, pricing is actually not the trigger. So do not put the pricing on this because you are just exposing yourself and discouraging people to actually go to your website to look at how good your hotel are before they move away. So example, bed bugs. I'm pretty sure if you were a hotelier, there's always something, especially if you are from the US or from Europe. Bed bugs is always a big thing. So I'm typing it here, so if you see it, 2 examples, bed Marina Bay Sands, bed bugs Pan Pacific. Do you want your ads to be showing when the rest of the article is talking the bed bugs together with your ad? No, right? It's not necessary, and it's a waste of your money. And I talk about other extensions that we have. So an example will be, these are all free, no additional cost. You can see the image extension on the top. You can put the images of your specific hotel. You can actually put in long site links, as I said before, connect to different areas. There's different betas, but one thing I want to highlight is every one of hotels will somehow win an award. Google allows you to put the review extension. It doesn't matter it's an award. You could be named #1 in TripAdvisor, #2 in TripAdvisor. So you can actually link it there with no additional cost. So you actually, instead of wasting your ad copy space, you have additional space to mention about the awards or trophies, anything that you will have. And obviously, if you have a flash sale, which is quite common now, Google now allows you to run JavaScript, so you can actually do the countdown, last 30 seconds or not last 1 hour, etc. All right? So the second part, I know I'm running out of time. I'm going to steal 5 more minutes, if I can, because I was not given enough time. So common mistakes in retargeting. Most of the times when you run a retargeting campaign, right, you put the cookies on every single page, okay? And then you run the campaign, oh, people come to my website, I have not booked, and I show them an offer, right? Most of the time, there's no new offer to be shown when you try to retarget the people. You're showing the exact same package. There's a website, exact same thing. So what makes you think that people will come back and book the second time after they have been to your website? That's question number 1. Question number 2, most of the time you do not actually, a lot of people do not segment the audience that have been to your website. People, local people going to your website looking for spa or F&B, you don't need to retarget them for rooms because the likelihood of them booking a spa afterwards and suddenly want to book a room, you know that it's not that high. If you have a lot of money, give it a try, but I would not encourage that. Same if you're running properties, your restaurant is very popular, people always go to your restaurant page, but they're locals. So how likely are they going to spend a night there unless you're throwing together a package, like staycation package, which is quite common in Singapore. Otherwise, you're retargeting the wrong audience. You're just wasting your money. So make sure that you segment the audience that have been to your website according to what pages they have been to and recency before you do the retargeting. Other things you need to pay attention is that you need to set the frequency capped. You probably are very annoyed sometimes if you see the same ad following you 20 times a day. Every single website that you go, you probably hate it. So make sure you set the frequency cap. And sometimes you also need to think outside the box. Okay, someone has booked a room. I can use the remarketing, obviously not to resell the room, but what about coming back and then book a spa? They book a room, but the messaging will be different. Book a spa, or have a romantic dinner, or go to the top floor rooftop bar, etc. So the next one is talking about the mobile part. So mobile, they're actually different things. So one of the things you need to understand when people search for mobile for hotels, the behavior is quite different than people doing the desktop search. So mobile is usually very last minute. So your ad copies needs to resonate that part of urgency to book immediately. So I'm pretty sure that you're aware of a lot of apps right now, Hotel Quickly, Hotel Tonight, that are quite successful, but they're drawing the inventory from the very, very last night. That's the same thing. If you want to get that inventory, you're not going to get people to actually book fill out the form or something. Maybe you have a dedicated number, they call and make the reservations, and then you can calculate the ROI afterwards. Same, you can run actually campaigns. Some of my clients, they are very big in terms of spa and F&B facilities. You can actually run Foursquare campaigns as well as some of the Twitter campaigns to drive people, not for room reservations, but more for F&B and spa. So the last two parts before I finish up the time. So many times when you run a Facebook, your social media or your PR team is going to say that you can't keep doing the same thing over and over again on your Facebook page. You can't be today promoting package 1, tomorrow promoting package 2, then your Facebook will just be promotions after promotions and promotions. Then it's not a social media channel, it's basically your own personal propaganda channel. This is not going to work. So what we have seen, what works is sometimes you need to think outside of the box, okay? Maybe I don't want to use my own Facebook page because there's certain branding guidelines and things. I don't want to show my promotional message too often, but I do want to attract the people who actually is using Facebook and get to know, because they may not be on desktop, get to know my promotions. So you can actually partner with, nowadays there are tons of fans page out there, some of them is quite big, in each country. You can try to partner with them, ask them to help you do a post, and afterwards you actually run the ads, not for your specific post, but it's actually hosting on their fan page. So for that, we actually see quite good results in terms of driving actual conversions. The reasons, you're targeting the right audience previously, showing that they like travel or they like at a particular places. And the cost for it is substantially lower than the old ways of buying, the old ways you think about, I want to buy TripAdvisor, I want to buy Fromers, I want to buy all these luxury travel websites. So it's a big difference. There actually are other tools that you can use. I'm not going to go over the details, but in terms of doing Facebook retargeting, it's a lot more sophisticated than if you think about going to your website and then you retarget the people just with the same message, with the same ad. These are different vendors, not my companies. These are different vendors. We tried out. Some of them work, some of them doesn't work. I can give you advice afterwards. Some of them probably approach you, and you probably heard of before. They probably have come to talk to you. They have pros and cons. Each of these vendors have pros and cons. I'm not saying that you should use one or the other, but this will actually further enhance the limited budget that you have to drive the conversions that you're putting right now on Facebook. So the very last, you probably have heard of these companies before. Remarketing relies a lot of your own website data. So first-party data on your website. Sometimes, if you have heard of Adara and the like, they will sell other hotels or airlines first-party data to you. And you can run the campaigns on top of it. Example, if you know someone already booked a ticket, if Emirates is showing the data, someone booked a ticket from London via Dubai to Singapore, you have a hotel in Singapore, you can actually rely on the platform to actually show the ad, say, stay in Singapore at this luxury hotel, etc. So sometimes you don't have your first-party data, but you can rely on other first-party data that is available. And obviously, last but not the least, you probably are very aware of Trip Connect and other opportunities that for you to actually work, I think for running the digital performance, to sum it up, it has very transparent, it has to be very agile. When you work with an agency, give them a budget, give them the freedom to move around the budget, whether it's Facebook, desktop, remarketing, search, etc. Because ultimately your goal is not to fixate how much budget to spend on each of the channel, is to how many rooms you can get, and are they actually booking basically high category level of rooms, so your average room night. That's pretty much what I have. I know I'm overrun, and I know I took 5 to 10 minutes of your time, of your break. So any other questions that you have? Any? Yeah. Yep. Very good. So first thing, if you want to tackle China, the people at the previous panel, first, please make sure that you have a simplified Chinese website. Second question, look at your payment gateway. Look at also your checkout process. We have done exercise for hotels. They did a basically A/B test with no credit card guarantee versus credit card guarantee, significantly better with no credit card guarantee. However, the no-show rates is actually not significantly higher. So that's some of the things you may actually want to do a split test for a short time for that particular market, especially if you have not been able to sort out the payment gateway. You know, in China, it's not just a typical, if you're just using Visa, Master, all the kind of stuff, I would say use it just as a branding channel. It's not going to give you the money immediately. You need to understand the Chinese, basically the audience, what kind of payment methods they use. Union Pay, Alipay, etc. So if you can't go through that step, you need to evaluate the performance separately. And one of a pretty good way to start, you look at your search volume of your branded keywords. It may be more cost effective to buy a brand song in China because you have 100% share of voice and there's multiple formats than if you buy the search keywords of your brand terms separately. But that needs to be carefully look at the search volume and the average CPC and you do the calculation. Yeah. The booking buttons, free.
Booking.com give a free booking button for your Facebook. What do you think of those?
I think the way that as a hotelier, when you try to sell your properties or utilize your Facebook, most of the time you are at the luxury of providing something that for the rates you may not be able to adjust it because it will force you to do the rate parity thing, but there are things you can throw in. Free breakfast, or if you're charging Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi for those particular channels, you actually make it the difference for booking with you versus booking with the OTA. And you can keep your agreement with the OTA happy because you still need them because you're not violating the rate parity issue. So, any other questions, comments that you have done?
Any last minute questions before we break for tea, coffee? No. Okay. So one quick question,
okay.
Antony, just considering the time frame, just one last thing. So I have seen a lot of OTAs actually bid for brand keywords. The brand could be here a hotel, or brand could be an airline, or any travel tech company, not travel tech, any travel supplier, right? So is this the right thing to do from an OTA perspective? And if from a brand, if I'm a hotelier, or if I'm an airline, or if I'm any travel supplier, what should I do if OTAs are bidding on my brand keywords?
Well, a couple of things that before you can file the trademark complaint form. They can bid on your terms, but the ad copies can no longer mention your name. So that's one thing. You can actually move away. Many times the OTA has a different strategies running it. Buying all the keywords of all the inventories that they have is a way just to showcase that they have millions, gazillions of properties. At the end of the day, OTA doesn't care whether they end up booking your hotel or not. They just want to bring people to the website, maybe end up not booking your hotel, but booking any other hotel. That's actually serves the purpose. So I think that's a big difference. And as I said, when you actually look at the performance of the keywords, what is actually driving the conversions of the OTA is distinctly different than what are the keywords actually driving the bookings with hotels. Even though everyone seems to be buying on everything, but it's actually, when you look at the data or the conversion, it's actually not the case.
Okay, great.
All right,
sure.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, thanks. We'll break for tea, coffee.